Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to Johnnywood, the John Grimes Show. Talking the nitty gritty here from Music City. Yeehaw!
They say it ain't who you are, but who you know. Fake it till you make it go high when they go low. Standing out is gonna be a lonely road. So I'm following the one that's paved in rhinestones. Must be doing something right. I'm just gonna shine my light, 'cause I've never been one to do things by the book. Say the bleach went to my brain, say my dreams are so insane. Oh, but I'm just gonna do what Johnny would. Call me shady, I'll spill the tea. That's a compliment to me. Oh, but I'm just gonna do what Johnny would. Oh, I'm just gonna do what Johnny would.
Honey, now let's keep it real. This guest needs no introduction.
I need all the introductions. Who are you kidding? I don't need to be introduced to you.
Oh my gosh. This is Shane Stevens,
Hello.
and we met a long time ago.
In
Lots of history.
1997.
97.
So I have officially known you for way more than half of my life.
Wow, 1997. Anywho, we've had maintained a wonderful friendship, and my gosh, the things we've done and places we've been and stories and so forth. But this is kind of special. Gosh, you're a very inspirational person.
Oh, gosh.
You know, you've always just gone after it and believed it.
Hey, yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a day night. Got a Bourbon Street steak with the Oreo shake. It's the whipped cream on the top too. 2 straws, 1 chick, girl, I got you. Who's you like?
And this isn't rehearsed or anything, but now this is real and we're doing this.
Yeah.
I see you as like, oh, you were always fearless to go after the next thing, and there's no you're so solid with your the things you go after. Like there's no room for failure or another plan B. It just has to work.
It has to work
out.
Oh, there's been failures.
Well, but you know, you like
it's just
you
get you where
go
you need to
into it 100 or 200%.
Yes, everything.
To that failure is not really an option, and I think as long as you're learning and growing, it's never a failure. So I don't use the failure in a sense of like,
totally.
you know what I mean?
In
But
a negative connotation, right?
But I think you inspired me. You know, believe in yourself and it's, you know, make it happen. It's like, you know, and yeah, so like a lot of my motivation for the show and having guests on is to kind of share secrets or inspiration of how to other people can apply that to things that they're trying to accomplish, or even just self-love. You know, there's a lot of we've came from very different backgrounds, but a lot of similarities, and just kind of overcoming obstacles, you know, childhood, you know, like in 1997, you came to Nashville, you knew you had a gift of music. Were you songwriting then, or were you just singing?
I came here, it was actually 96. I met you almost in 97.
Yeah, let's start there.
I knew I could sing. I knew I had talent. I knew I had a dream, but I didn't know if I could. Everybody goes to another big city or from a small town thinking they've got talent, you know, whether it's being a hairdresser or wanting to be an actor and going to LA, or being a songwriter or a singer and going to Nashville or New York City or whatever. But I just, failure wasn't an option, and I had a dream, and come hell or high water, I was going to make it happen.
Do you think that came from survival skills?
Absolutely.
Because I, with my mom, you know, my mom, you know, like I kind of grew up. I was a parent and a child at the same time.
Same.
And I remember just having, like, when you couldn't depend on someone else all the time,
you figured it out.
You had to rely on yourself.
And it was escapism, too.
Yeah.
I think. I just, I've learned as I've gotten older that my imagination took me places when I was a child, and I didn't realize that's what it was. And if I could see myself being somewhere, then I would get there, I would be there. And long before people were talking about manifestation as much as they were, I feel like the manifestation is the trigger word that happened during COVID. But I was doing that when I was very young. Like I was telling a friend I had a little closet in the hallway in the house that I grew up in, and I put a little carpet remnant in there and a little picture frame and pillows and made a little makeshift couch and had a lamp that I got out of a dumpster and a little black and white TV. And in my mind, it was like a little studio apartment, you know, because you'd seen the Jeffersons or whatever on television. It's like, oh, I want to be in New York City one day. And then eventually it ended up happening. It's not until you're in the middle of it that you see, oh my gosh, this actually happened. And, you know, me with the help of God made this happen. You know, God partnering with what my dreams were then. And, you know, there are certain things that I've realized that I dreamed when I was a child that I let go of that have come because I've let go of them, you know. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this deja vu or this is a dream being realized? And I've come to understand and realize that a lot of it is a childhood dream that has just come true, and it was just took a longer manifestation period than I thought it would. You know?
I when I came out here, I don't.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, you wanted to do music business first, right? Didn't you go to MTSU for music business?
I did.
Yes.
And you just talked about the room with the pillow. 'Cause I had an apartment that had a little attic that I turned the attic space into like a little guest bedroom with a little twin bed, and maybe it was a little escape. But I don't know. I always you like pretty things too.
I love pretty things.
Where did that come from?
Pretty things and pretty people. I grew up in a cinder block house. My bedroom was legitimately the back porch. So there was a concrete slab, an avocado green carpet remnant, a leaking washing machine, and not dryer, because we hung clothes on the line then, and a hot water heater that leaked. And I had a bunk bed, and I would make my own art and try to decorate the walls and just pull little things in to make my space mine.
But how did you know what pretty was? Like, what was your idea of that's nice?
Oh,
who inspired or
Miss Vivian? I think you have to talk to you about Miss Vivian. When I was a child, she was our local florist.
Okay, I don't remember this.
Vivian Thomas, and she had this tiny little 2-bedroom house that has a sunken den.
Okay.
And plush like orange carpet. And she always had 2 or 3 Christmas trees in this tiny little house. She taught me how to decorate Christmas trees. She taught me how to light Christmas trees, and then we expanded on that later on. But
right.
I always thought that she was so fancy and her house was so cute and fancy. And, you know, I actually, in front of our beach house in North Carolina, I put up these 3 poles and rope in front of the house because it reminds me of Miss Vivian.
Oh, that's sweet.
So every time I look at it, I think about her. But that's where it started for me.
Gotcha. It was probably, my mom liked nice, but my grandmother liked nice and also taught me how to keep it nice.
Yes, and clean.
Nice and clean. Yeah, Christmas lights, everything went back just the way it came out of the box.
You're still that way.
Yeah, well, try.
Well, you know.
But, okay, well, that's
unless you've seen his storage unit, which I had to experience today.
Yeah, we saw that today.
I don't know.
It's actually pretty organized. But, but you can't. It's just, there's no real estate left.
Yeah.
So, a desire for pretty things. And was that part of the escape too, you think?
Oh, gosh, yeah. And I didn't know how to paint or do any of that stuff, but as soon as I, you know, probably saw Miss Vivian doing it or other people in the neighborhood that were painting their houses or whatever, and, you know, I probably never even finished the painting jobs that I did then, where now it drives me crazy if everything's not meticulously perfect and taped off and done. But, and then I think as we grew and seeing things on television, you know.
For sure. I watched a lot of soap operas growing up. So you saw pretty hair.
It's lots of pretty hair.
You know, the perfect
We saw Marlena floating around a room
right.
on Days of Our Lives.
So,
you know what? Probably Dallas.
You know, we've been
and Knots Landing and things like that were a fantasy, you know, and it looked grand and amazing.
Out on the road, we've been watching Dallas.
Oh my gosh, the old Dallas.
From the beginning.
Wow.
And because I never really watched it, but I know a little bit
Who
more
are
about
you
Dallas.
in that show?
I don't know. I have not watched enough of it. I don't even know the names. I know a few of the
There's
characters.
JR.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I don't know enough to be
Bobby,
one.
JR, and
I
Bobby.
think I would be Knots Landing more than Dallas.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just from I know like Michelle Lee, and I
Oh,
love
we love Michelle Lee.
and I like is it Morgan Fair?
Morgan Fairchild.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. She was on Dallas on
She
a season
was?
that I watched.
Wow.
Yeah, she was on. I think she left and then came back. I'm thinking of Donna Mills.
Gotcha. That looks like Barbara Mandrell,
Yep,
kind of.
a little bit. Yep. All righty, we know our queens, daytime and country.
Uh-huh.
So in making things pretty, coming to Nashville. Were you? Let me ask you this: were you always popular?
No.
No.
Was I
That's hard to
popular?
imagine.
No. I was
Because when you
bullied
came to
and
Nashville,
terrified.
you had confidence.
I did, but you got to think I was going to another place where no one knew me, and I could be
Like a
anybody
fresh-
I wanted to be
fresh,
and have
yeah.
a fresh start.
Yeah.
And find out who I was, and I wasn't scared to talk to people. I've never been afraid of speaking to a stranger or
Yeah.
getting to know another person and intrigued by their lives. And no,
Yeah, that took me a little longer, I think. Although some people tell me I had confidence, but I didn't
Yeah, you
feel
did.
I didn't feel it, though. I think it
know.
was just over, it was all the
It comes with
exterior-
time. You're
exterior
thrust
stuff.
into it when you're a hairdresser.
Speaking back to self-confidence,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've grown the most in the last 5 years for
Right.
me,
Uh-huh.
where I'm finally getting to where like I care less about what other people think,
Mm-hmm.
or just kind of more at peace with myself,
Mm-hmm.
Still working on it. But are you hard on what are you hardest on yourself today?
I think
still?
we both probably have the hairdresser's disease
Which is
for the
you don't
longest
eat?
time. You
I
don't.
have-
You eat when you can. You shovel it down because I went to hair school because John made me, and I'm glad I did because it opened the door to so many of my other dreams. I wouldn't be a hit songwriter if I was never a hairdresser. I wouldn't be that if I wasn't your friend. So I think we pick ourselves apart because we stand in front of a mirror all day long.
Really?
Oh yeah, that was the first thing I noticed when I lived when I was in New York City, working in the hair salon, and you have all these beautiful people coming in who are in gorgeous shape. Not everyone, but 90% of them, and especially celebrities. And then you're standing behind a chair looking in the mirror at your face all day long. I mean, I started getting Botox when I was 23. Don't have it right now clearly, but yeah, I think we tend to pick ourselves apart weight wise. Like when you're a hairdresser, you don't have as much time for your workout schedule, your nutrition. You're giving everything to everybody else, and so I think probably the kind of up and down of chasing every fad
I
diet.
think hairstyling is another kind of a survival
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of a. You're just kind of you just get through the day,
Yeah.
and then the next day it's like you do it again, but
Yeah.
you're never caught up.
Nope.
It's always it just stacks up, and I'm not thinking about myself when I'm doing hair very often,
Right,
like
which is
whether
great.
I ate anything or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So you're kind of surviving in that way, just but
And focused on making someone else feel good and focused on someone else's needs and making them feel pretty.
And I wonder too if there's an escape within doing that because
Absolutely.
you're living, you for that hour, 2 hours, you're sort of
In someone else's world.
yeah.
Asking about them and not just talking about the weather
Mm-hmm.
or just politics or what their hair color is going to be or what diet they're on. Like we
Yeah.
talk about all of it. We get therapy and they get therapy.
Did you watch the movie? I can't remember the name of it, but the guy that was the hairstylist and was in a nursing home and
No.
then got asked to do hair for his longest client that he had a feud with, and she passed away.
No, I didn't see that.
I think that was actually Linda Evans that played the
Really?
part. It's really good. It kind of so it's in the 1980s. I forget the name of it. We can fill this in maybe. But he's a hairstylist, and he had a socialite client that he, probably for decades, went to the parties with, did, stopped everything to do her hair, and his life revolved around her social life.
Uh-huh.
But then his partner died of AIDS,
Mm-hmm.
and it was at a time when, some of her friends and husband and so forth, sort of pulled away from him. They didn't know how to talk about it.
Uh-huh.
And I wondered, like, when we were doing hair in the 90s even,
Mm.
I don't know, did it seem like to you ever, like, maybe we didn't get invited to the parties or the things? Like, I always felt
A
like,
little left
for
out
me,
on the
like, a little
outside.
bit like you like the hair, when you're getting your hair done, the people love you
While they're there.
while they're there,
Yeah.
but then maybe out in public or with their husbands and certain friends, like I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like your relationship didn't feel as
It was air
important.
kisses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what this movie's about, and
Right.
they had a falling out,
Uh,
and then he
and
went
then he ended
into
up
it,
being the person to take
and
care of
then
her.
she willed for him to do her hair for her funeral, but
Wow.
they hadn't spoken in like 20 years. They had like a
Wow.
falling. It was really that's a good movie. I really Swan Song. Yeah, that's it. Swan Song.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like an independent film, but I really
Huh.
related to it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this.
I think for me, as I think it grew into more of that. Like my hairstyling life in New York City changed because the clientele was different. Like, you know, this Mary Louise Parker changed my life. I ended up getting a lot of celebrity clients that very much so welcomed me into their
When I moved to
circle.
LA, it was very opposite there
No
too.
one needed anything from me, and I didn't need anything from them, and we connected on a deeper life level and became very friendly with each
Hmm.
other. So I would get invited to those big
Hmm.
parties, and thankfully, those parties happen, and that's why it kind
Hmm.
of opened so many doors for me, even just back into music. You know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um,
But we were kids then. Like you started doing hair, you were 19 years old.
yeah.
It wasn't. Some of it we weren't kind of allowed to go. We weren't drinking. Like we weren't allowed to go to some of that stuff. But also, those people were they were our age now.
I don't know,
You know what
right?
I
They
mean?
had
And
kids and
so we really
everything.
didn't have a whole
Yeah.
lot to relate to.
Yeah.
They were where we wanted to be financially, I
But
think, or
it's
in
neat
life.
now though that that's less of a
Totally.
thing. You know what I
Everyone's
mean?
more accessible, and they have to be because we're in a social media world, and this is how people connect, and fortunately and unfortunately. And I think, you know, when we were growing up, like for me with like Mariah Carey or George Michael, people that I loved in music, you'd have to wait to see something come on television or wait to see
Hmm.
something in a magazine, and there was still mystery. And
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of mystery is missing. I miss the mystery part, not knowing everything about everyone.
So do you think this generation where everything is like out front, the um, the mystery of celebrity like it used to be, do you
Hmm.
think that'll ever come back around? Or do you think this
If our iPhones go away and this stuff goes away and social media goes away, so no, I think we're just in a forward motion.
Hmm.
We're on an unstoppable train. I think even with AI, which the conversation comes out along,
Hmm.
the train's left the station. We're just trying to pull the parts off of it a little bit so that
Hmm.
there is still natural, real creativity. Um, but I don't know. I think unless someone's willing to completely
Hmm.
unplug their life, but when you have artists or movie stars, or even we're in a place in the world now where um, reality stars are almost more famous than movie stars.
Hmm.
You know, reality stars end up with the leading role on Broadway because they're in people's living room every week,
Hmm.
and they seem like people that are like me and you. So
Hmm.
that's opened up a whole Pandora's box, and I think we've gone a little too far along to put it back in now. So we just have to figure out how to manage it, and it's depends on who you are as a person, how much you want to share or not share. Like I don't need to know what you're eating every day.
This was funny the
Like
other
why
day.
is that a thing? Still.
Um, I guess I didn't even realize I had Denise Richards'
As
contact in my phone
uh-huh.
from a few years ago when I did her hair in Nashville, and I get a thing the other day like I guess she has a new
Reality show.
or no, like it's like you're in your contact list, and I didn't know if it was like OnlyFans popping
Oh
up
my
or,
lord.
but there's like no, everything is so like it finds you. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid to click on it because I
Mm-hmm.
just saw skin, and it
Where are
was
you
a
gonna
little
go?
it was a little
Totally.
thumbnail. Do you know what I
Totally.
mean?
Yep.
But it
Uh-huh.
was just letting you know this person in your phone is on their phone right now, or they're posting to this or that, and
And you should go check it out.
yeah.
Right.
But anyway, I was at a restaurant and a bar a month ago when I was out on tour, and they actually took your phone when you went in and put it in a
Mm-hmm.
little zipper bag,
Mm-hmm.
and
Which I love.
it was cool. But when you're by yourself, I was sitting in a bar by myself. I had no idea what to do.
Like talk to a person.
Well,
You're scared to
there's
talk to a
groups,
person? Yeah,
and then
yeah.
there's the bar.
Yeah.
You start talking to the bartender,
Uh-huh.
and but slowly, people did start talking,
Uh-huh.
and
Forced to
we were
communicate.
suggesting cocktails and trying drinks, and then we bought each other drinks, with
Mm-hmm.
straight. It was just me,
Mm-hmm.
but that was actually kind of neat. It was awkward at first,
Because what do you do without your dining alone armor?
but I used to pick up a newspaper back to the '90s. I
Mm-hmm.
would pick up a newspaper at lunch and love my alone time, but I still like to have something
To
to
do or
read or
read.
to
Yeah.
do. Do you know what
Uh-huh.
I mean? But anyway, but yeah, I just did the Apple. Have you done the thing where you wear the
The
headset
Oculus
and
or
it's
whatever
all
it's called.
like? Have you all done it?
Uh-uh.
Have you experienced it? It's like everything's just
Virtual reality.
yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
floating your screens and your pictures are 3D and you can. It's like you could. It's almost like you could go on vacation and not go
And
or
not go.
something. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's interesting. You should check it out. It's a
Okay.
little scary, but
It's scary, but do it.
well, it's yeah, like for somebody that couldn't travel and you wanted to see the
Oh,
world, like I feel
absolutely.
like
It's
it's
beautiful.
like you could
Totally.
touch it and you
Oh,
could
yeah.
know what it felt like, and like an
Mm-hmm.
animal or the water or
Right.
the stuff.
Interactive in a way.
And if somebody, maybe if Chris liked the idea, if like you had family that you could go back and be like they were there, I don't know, that
Mm-hmm.
might be like that might be too much. I don't know. But anyway, um, so you have a song you've been working on.
Yes. Don't hijack my Jesus.
Don't hijack his Jesus, or he will,
Yeah.
or you
You,
might get jacked.
you know what? The only reason I've decided to do this and do music, like for me, is because I've given everything away to everybody else my whole life. Even, writing songs for as many people as I have, and having hit songs, and that's really, really fun. But a few years ago, I was at the Ryman. They were doing the opera at the Ryman, and I went to see Little Big Town because they were going to sing one of my songs.
Let me
And
guess. Hold
and
on.
it
Beat up Bible.
Beat Up Bible.
Beat up Bible.
Right, and
There's
Beat
a
Up,
theme here.
yeah, and Beat Up,
Hijacks, beatings,
yes.
beatings.
Oh my Lord. Beat Up Bible was about my granny, Faye, and Carrie and Hillary's grandparents as well, and their Bibles that they had when they were children. But it was the first time, and I loved it. It was beautiful. They sang it. That song was 9 years old. It took forever for someone to record it, and for the longest time we were like, "What is wrong with this song?" Everybody keeps putting it on hold, wanting to record it, and then they never do. And then finally, they recorded the song, and I got when they started singing it, it broke my heart. And
Because they didn't do it the way you'd wanted to.
no, because I was like, why are they singing about my granny?
Oh,
And why have I let that part of me go? And you know how our business has been. It was hard to be our generation and be gay, and especially in music.
wait a second. Are you gay?
Yes, I'm not, but my husband is. And now it's so just kind of free flowing and whatever you want it to be, and our rules have kind of been thrown out the window, and people are releasing independent music, and there's so many different platforms, and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and to get your music out, get your music promoted. And I just decided I don't have to be a pop singer or a country singer or a Christian singer. I'm going to just do all of it and do what brings me joy. I'm authentically who I am. It's taken me a long time to get there, and I write about things that I love, and things that I know, and people I know, and the God that I serve. And so I feel like with this song, I was in a conversation with Mariah Smallbone, who is a co-writer on the song, and Paul Mabry, and we were talking about how we feel like a lot of the church has hijacked Jesus. A lot of things. I'm not going to get into the political side of things and all that, but just
Are we talking like Jim and Tammy Faye hijacking?
no. I mean in the way that they're painting Jesus to be a way that isn't just love, like pure positive love. The love thy neighbor, the you know, love them as you would love yourself. Take care of the sick, feed the hungry, do all that stuff. It's just like it's it's turned back into this hellfire and brimstone type of gospel, which is not what Jesus came for. And so I'm feeling like Jesus needs a new cheerleader, and if it's not going to be me, then who's going to do it? Like I don't want to just sit around and just watch it fall apart.
Hold on, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
pause. The dogs are going crazy. So right now in country music, there's a new country singer every day. A lot of gay artists popping up. Kind of saw this a few years ago too with a lot of African American
artists.
But I've still yet to feel like, and then Beyonce did it, the country album and so forth. But I'm still yet to see like
Authentic, real thing.
authentic country, raised in it, been doing it forever, paid their dues, written, like had the hit songs. And I'm so excited because you're finally doing what I think 30 years ago you might, had the times been different now, like you would have been like the most authentic, genuine
country person.
I
grew up on a shrimp boat. That's what I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I thought this record that you were telling me about, could be like the real deal, like set the bar for all. I'm not saying they're wannabes, but I don't know that everybody has really, has the, what's the word? Not paid their dues, but
it's just about authenticity.
Yeah.
And without trying to offend people, sometimes it just feels like, oh, you didn't make it in this genre, and now you're trying to do this because you think this is easier, when it's actually harder, because if you're not being authentically who you are, who you were born to be, or who you've grown and evolved to, we sniff it out. It feels fake. And country music is, people's music. We write about real life and things that happen to us. And I think if you're faking it, nobody cares. Or you might have a big hit that becomes a flash in the pan, but did you write it yourself? Did you write it with a bunch of other people? You know what I mean? It has to authentically be in the fabric of who you are. And country music is a massive part of my life. And you're a massive part of why I love the older country music that I love, So I appreciate storytelling. I appreciate truth telling. I love real melodies. I love real raw and honest singers. So I feel like if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? And if I don't do it now, I'm probably never going to do it. And it's not about being famous. It's just I want to sing the songs that are right, because they come from me. They come from, sorry, I just hit this microphone. They come from me. They come from my connection with God. They come from a deep, spiritually driven place a lot of the time. And if I'm going to put music out in the world, I want it to speak to people's hearts. I want it to help set people free in whatever way that I can. If they're holding on to something, when you write a song and you have a hit song, or even a song that wasn't a hit, just something that someone gravitated towards, a lot of people will come up to you if they know that you're the songwriter and say, hey, this song impacted my life because of this. Or like I remember when American Honey was out and it was kind of climbing the chart and meeting and singing at a couple writers' rounds and stuff in Nashville, and people going, I have to tell you something, I was in a really dark place and I was kind of playing Russian roulette with God, and I was like, if I don't hear this song on the radio, then tonight's the night I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill myself. And say, and the song that I wanted to hear was your song. That's heavy, but it just goes to show that music has a purpose, and our dreams have a purpose, and God's dream for us, there's a purpose in that, and I have to do it. Even, I'm not trying to save the world or save people or change people, but if me releasing a song helps one person and it never makes a dime, it was worth it, because it was an escape for me. Like, my 4th grade teacher introduced me to George Michael's music, and I've told this story before, but I was sitting in her car. We were going to her house for a field trip, and she grabbed me by my cheeks and she pushed this tape in, and I lit up, and it was One More Try by George Michael. And I was like, what is this? She goes, this is George Michael. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. She goes, one day you can be just like him. You're going to sing and you're going to write songs, but you can be just like him, and you get out of here, okay? And so if George Michael didn't exist, my dream wouldn't exist either. So we're all connected in some way, so I have to do it.
Say the bleach went to my brain. Say
I would rather pay more attention to what God is doing, not what God's not doing. My tips for keeping the wig on.
Any beauty tips?
Glue that shit down.
All right now, talk is cheap and time's expensive. Thanks for tuning in, and please subscribe. Have a good one.